this presentation, you will learn the components of fluency, why they are important to reading, and strategies to use with students to develop and improve fluency. You may have a student like Izzy in your class, or you may have had a student like Izzy in your class. Izzy's oral reading can be described as slow and monotone, with many pauses as she decodes words. She often stops and starts again, which makes it difficult to follow along when listening to her read. Izzy frequently cannot remember details about what she just read. So Izzy struggles with fluency. What exactly is fluency? Fluency is the ability to read words accurately, quickly, smoothly, and with expression. Why is fluency important? Fluency is critical to reading development because it provides a bridge between word recognition and comprehension. It allows readers to make meaning from a text. Fluency is a window into a child's reading development. By listening to them read, we can determine what to focus our instruction on. Fluency is connected to the other areas of literacy instruction. And we've been learning about these in our PLCs as well. So we know that phonological awareness is a process by which readers start understanding how sounds make up words. And phonics is the understanding of how letters and sounds are connected. So these early literacy skills lead directly into the process of decoding. The more skilled a reader is with decoding, the more fluent they become. So as fluency increases, so does a reader's ability to comprehend what they are reading. When readers no longer have to think about every sound and letter, and they can read with automaticity, their brains can attend to meaning. So fluency, supported by phonemic awareness and phonics, is vital to reading comprehension. And dysfluency, which is a lack of fluent reading behaviors, can lead to the inability to comprehend and resistance. So when a child's reading slows down, it's difficult for them to make meaning from text because so much of their mental energy is devoted to deciphering words. We saw that with Izzy. She could not frequently remember what she had just read. And this can lead to resistance, and including a lack of motivation or an interest in reading, because it can become a labored, tedious task that is almost completely devoid of meaning, satisfaction, and enjoyment. So if reading consistently takes so much work, children will not persist through the text and be motivated to read. So as we just said, fluency is supported by phonemic awareness and phonics is vital to reading comprehension because the more fluent a child becomes, the more they can comprehend. So let's talk about the 4 elements of fluency. And while these 4 elements traditionally encompass what fluent reading looks like, we must be cautious in defining a child only in terms of these 4 elements. So we must recognize how the text children are being asked to read affects their oral reading fluency and their performance on an assessment as well. So because fluency is so intricately connected to word recognition skills, oral reading expression, and text comprehension, fluency can be very context specific. So a child could possibly be more fluent in one text over another. So for this reason, when a child appears to read just fluently, particularly children developing English language proficiency, all the components of the reading process need to be explored and understood to get at the root of why a child may not be fluent with a particular text. So that being said, let's look at our 4 areas. We've got accuracy, rate, expression, and phrasing. Accuracy is the ability to read the words in the text as they are written. So the goal of accurate reading is automatic and effortless word recognition, no decoding, no word solving, just reading. Rate is the speed at which a person reads text, and the goal is for the reader to have the ability to read the text at the appropriate speed. Phrasing is the ability to group words together, as in normal speech, pausing appropriately between phrases, clauses, and sentences. So it requires readers to read text in meaningful chunks, paying attention to prepositions and punctuation. An expression is the ability to read words in text with the appropriate stress and intonation. It's often called reading with feeling. So how do we teach fluency? We can support fluency growth in 3 important ways. And these ways are not new to you as teachers. We've got our I do, we do, and you do. So we have modeling, guiding, and practicing. When we model, we read to children. When we guide, we provide supported practice. And when we practice, we give children time to read independently. So it's important to model because when you model reading fluently and expressively, you demonstrate your own interpretation of character, information, and concepts in a book. Your tone, phrasing, pacing, and mood all help children make sense of the story. So your expressive reading is a scaffold for children's comprehension. And you would do this during your interactive read aloud using a high quality children's book that is above a child's reading level. And why guide? When we guide children, we have the perfect opportunity to catch them in the act of reading and coach them on fluent reading behaviors in the moment. So when they're reading on their own, you can hear them and respond to them by affirming fluent reading behaviors and prompting them to change their phrasing, expression, or pace in order to best comprehend what they're reading. And then during our guiding time, we can do shared reading, which would be a high support activity where we're taking turns reading. And then we have our medium support, which would be guided reading, where we would support students with fluency with an instructional level text. And then reading conferences would be a lower support time when students are reading an independent level text and we are conferring with them. And then at the practice level, they would be reading independently or having independent work time. So practicing is important because, again, they're reading and we have the opportunity to be coaching them through their fluency. So we can give them affirmations or we can also prompt them if we need to. And it's really important to give students time to read. Children should read often, and when they read and reread texts, they gain fluency and are able to read smoothly with each repeated reading. This reading time also enhances motivation. So the more children read, the more they want to read. And usually during independent reading time, they can choose books that they like to read. So keeping all of this in mind, let's go back to Izzy and let's think about your class. So think about children like Izzy in your class and what can you do in each of the following lessons to help Izzy improve in the area of fluency. So I want you to take a few minutes when we're done and think about your read aloud time, your shared reading, your guided reading, your reading conferences, your independent reading time, and your independent work time. What can you do to help your students improve in the area of fluency? And to help guide you through this activity, when we're done, you are going to find the fluency activity sheet at this station, and it will have activities that you can explore and think about how you can implement them into your instructional time to support your students developing fluency skills. So on this sheet, there are activities with links that will take you to model lessons. So you can look at them, you can see what they're like, and then you can, it also gives you some actionable steps on this activity so that you will have some ideas to implement immediately for next week's lessons.